Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know I left the entire sacred reverence discourse at part 1, so I intend to complete the other parts. I was extremely exhausted when I was filming it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do parts to it, but I'm going to actually, I've got like 5 more parts, but I'm going to do it as one video actually. So I hope you guys have been well. The energies have been very intense, so do take care of yourselves. Make sure you get a lot of rest and ensure you're hydrated as well, because these are very essential for what's there to come. So that's the reason why. Honor yourself. And because the field is very active, you're going to feel a lot of changes like never before. So that is a good sign that things are leveling up between you and your divine masculine. So, also, I wanted to thank you all for your kind comments and for everything that you guys have been, seeing you guys in your journey, working with you guys one on one all these years. I'm so happy to see so many of you guys being happy, getting together, getting into stable union. So, all with the grace of God. All right, let me delve right in. So, in part 1, we defined what sacred reverence actually is. Before that, let me just check mic tests. See, mic test is so important. Oops, oops, oops. Mic test is so okay, important. I think after this, I'm not going to do a mic test anymore, because I realized my mic has fully synced in with my laptop. So I trust my mic from now on. All right. So, what sacred reverence actually is? So, we talked about what sacred reverence actually is. So, it was more of like an overview of what I'm going to talk, because this part is going to go slightly longer. So, now I want to move into paradoxes, the tests that come with it, because the truth is reverence will stretch you. It will feel unnatural at first. It will challenge every single wound in your body. Well, we have all been there before, different stages, different levels, different points of time. And that's because reverence is not about our divine masculine, it's about our initiations. It's about our initiations as the divine feminine. So, I'm going to talk about the different paradoxes, all right? The first paradox being reverence without reward. So, here's the first paradox, right? You can hold reverence for weeks, even months, and see no reward in the 3D. No message, no return, no sign of change. And your ego will whisper, like, what is the point, right? Why am I honoring him if he's not honoring me? And that's a very, very tricky situation, right? Like, truly, if this was any other person, any other guy out there, we would totally be like, you're done with this behavior. Like, truly, you'll be like, if he's not honoring me, I'm not honoring him. However, in a twin flame journey, this is the initiation of emptiness. It teaches us that reverence is not transactional. You're not hiding the feel for instant, you're not holding the feel for an instant payout. Of course, our divine masculine is hiding. So, sorry for the tongue slip. So, again, as I was saying, it's not transactional, right? We are not holding the field for an instant payout. We are stewarding a frequency that has value whether he acknowledges it or not. So, this is where you prove to your own soul, I can hold truth even when the 3D gives me nothing back. And this is a very tricky area, isn't it? The more we are in the journey, we get used to it, don't we? All right, the second paradox. You see your divine masculine growing, but he doesn't look joyful. Maybe his energy feels steadier. You notice that he makes decisions that is totally out of character. If he's the sort that will never quit his job, you'll suddenly see him quitting his job. Or if he's not the sort that, basically for the better. All right, his career choices, his life choices are cleaner, his posture stronger, but yet his eyes don't shine. And that hurts because you want him radiant, alive, and free, right? That's what we want for our divine masculine always, don't we? But reverence understands dignity precedes joy, discipline precedes freedom, and containment precedes devotion. So, at this stage, we are not witnessing the final chapter yet. We are witnessing the foundation being laid, and reverence honors that stage instead of demanding instant bliss. So, the third paradox, here's what most of us, this is a stage where there's most collapse. Most of us will feel the most collapse. This is projection. Our mind interprets silence as rejection, distance as abandonment, and discipline as coldness. And these are all valid. We have all been there. Many of you are being here right now. It's totally valid because reverence shifts the lens. Rejection, no, we see it as containment. Abandonment, nope, we see it as sovereignty in progress. Coldness, no, clean edges forming. So reverence isn't about pretending. All right, it's about interpreting correctly. It's the difference between looking through the wound and looking through the soul. So the final paradox is, it's the hardest of it all, the initiation of non-interference. And we've all been there before. It's not easy at all. This is the most difficult part because when we sense growth, our ego wants to help it, right? We want to be part of it. We want to help our divine masculine. We want to send the coded post. We want to drop the hint. We want to nudge the energy. But reverence says, I don't need to interfere. The field is strong enough. Non-interference is not indifference. It's trust in the architecture of union. This is one of the most advanced initiation for us, as divine feminines, to hold awe without stepping into control. So these are the paradoxes of reverence. Can you honor emptiness without reward? Can you see growth without demanding joy? Can you interpret through soul rather than wound? And can you witness without interfering? So if you can hold these paradoxes, you would stop asking why he isn't showing up, and you start realizing he's becoming, and that your role is to witness without collapse. That's the initiation of reverence. So now that we have explored the paradoxes and initiations of reverence, let's go deeper, because reverence isn't just an attitude or mindset. It's multidimensional. It lives in our body, it lives in our soul lens, and it lives in the union field. And if even one of those levels is out of alignment, you won't be able to hold true reverence. So, remember, reverence begins here in our body. It is. So that's why I'm going to again break this into smaller parts, right? So part one is the body and the nervous system. So, like I said, reverence begins in our body. If our nervous system is dysregulated, we can't hold reverence. Period. That is the case, right? Because what happens? Our body floods with fear, the mind spins stories, and suddenly the field is full of noise. So, the first practice of reverence is regulation. It's slowing your breath, it's noticing sensations instead of attaching stories to them. It's separating, all right? My chest feels light from his abandoning me. So this is a very, very clear separation, And often when our nervous system is in a full-blown mode, it's difficult to differentiate between, so it's very crucial. So when you regulate your body, you clean the signal before it even leaves you. Your reverence becomes embodied, not just mental. All right. So the second part is, once your body is steady, reverence moves to the soul lens. This is about how you interpret what you see. From the wounded feminine lens, silence really looks like rejection. Like I said, we have all been there before. Totally looks like rejection. That's why it hurts so much, and that's why it's like a domino effect, right? But from the soul lens, silence will look like containment, as I was speaking previously. Boundaries, that's why from the wounded lens, boundaries will look like coldness. Discipline looks like avoidance. But from the soul lens, boundaries look like clean edges. And from the soul lens, discipline looks like sovereignty in progress. The soul lens doesn't erase pain, but it interprets what is happening authentically, correctly. And that correct interpretation is what allows you to hold reverence without collapsing. So now we move to the highest level. It's the union feel, because reverence is not just about your body or your lens. It's about what your frequency is doing to the third energy between you. When you hold reverence at the feel level, you're not transmitting panic, desperation, or noise. You're actually transmitting stability, right? You're sending a signal into the field, the combined energy field, that says that the bond is safe, the union is coherent, and the frequency can hold, and here's the key. That's the key, right? Our divine masculine can feel that. Even if our divine masculine is silent in the 3D, he can sense whether the feels safe or chaotic. Reverence makes it safe. So, how the 3 levels interlock? These 3 levels, body, soul, and feel, work together. If your body is regulated but your lens is distorted, you will look calm but secretly project fear. If your lens is clear but your body is dysregulated, you would say you honor your divine masculine, but your nervous system will scream panic in the field. If your body and lens are aligned but you forget the field, you will make it all about you instead of the architecture of union. True reverence requires all 3 levels working as one. So remember this, reverence starts in our body, regulates before you project. Reverence flows into our soul lens. Interpret this through dignity, not through fear. And reverence stabilizes the union field, anchoring safety and coherence. And when we are able to hold all 3, we stop leaking noise into the third energy field, And we begin to embody reverence as a living vibration, not just a concept. Oops, sorry about that. Again, the mic. Everyone has got something to say about the mic, really. Like I said, guys, this is the last mic I'm getting. Anyway, as I was saying, so now that we understand how reverence works on the body, soul, and union feel levels, we need to go deeper into the shadow side. Because here's the truth: many people think that so many of you might think that you're practicing reverence, but what you are actually doing is bypassing, collapsing, or waiting in pain. And if you confuse distortion for reverence, you end up draining yourself instead of stabilizing the field. So bypassing is when you use reverence as a mask. It can sound like I'm fine, I'm at peace, I don't feel pain, but inside you're breaking down. Bypassing denies the wound. Reverence honors the wound while choosing the soul lens. So if you're shutting off your grief, numbing your body, or refusing to admit your anger, that's not reverence. That is a clear case of bypassing. Martyrdom, all right. This is when you collapse into belief. I'll wait forever, no matter how he treats me. He can go around telling me I'll never ever talk to you again. I'm not interested in you. He would block you. He would do all kinds of things to totally cut you off, but you will be like, he's asleep, I'll accept it. He is just being what he is. It's my duty as the divine wife to help him. It's okay. He is doing what he's doing. And that your only job is to hold space endlessly. That's not reverence. That's abandonment of ourselves, all right? So that's a clear distinction, and please, guys, pay attention to it. Because true reverence always includes self-reverence. If you're betraying your own needs in the name of being spiritual, you're fallen into martyrdom, not reverence. The silent suffering, the next part is silent suffering. This is another distortion. A silent suffering, this is when you endure in silence, thinking if I just stay quiet and strong, that's reverence. But instead of feeling clean and steady, you feel drained, heavy, and resentful. Reverence doesn't exhaust you. Reverence feels light, respectful, and grounded. If your reverence feels like torture, it's not reverence, it's suppression. That's why it has to come from your soul, not from your wounded feminine. So you need to read to figure that distinction out, guys, really. So this part is very sneaky. Fantasy projection, all right? This is when you confuse imagination with reverence. Wishful thinking, another word to use. Every little shift becomes proof he's about to call me. He's about to show up at my door, and suddenly you're hooked on maybe soon. Reverence, remember, is not fantasy. It doesn't invent timelines. It notices what is real, honest, actual growth, and lets the future unfold without forcing it. And finally, the trap of endless waiting. This is when you freeze your entire life thinking, I'll just sit here until he comes back. That's stagnation, not reverence. Reverence doesn't mean you put your life on hold. It means you live fully while witnessing his becoming without collapsing. You keep building your mission, your body, your joy, because reverence is active, not frozen. So let's do a very quick recap, all right, on distortions. Bypassing denies our pain, martyrdom abandons ourselves, silent suffering drains our spirit, and fantasy projection hooks you on illusion, and endless waiting freezes your life. So if you're caught in any of this, you're not in reverence, you're in distortion. True reverence feels steady, clear, and clean. It honors both yourself and your divine masculine. So now that we have expose the distortions of reverence, let's move into advanced dynamics, right? Because reverence on its own is powerful, but it was never meant to stand alone. It works in a trinity with sacred rage and self-honor. The trinity is what actually shifts the union field at the deepest level. So think of them like this. Sacred reach is the bulldozer. It clears illusions, collapses karmic entanglements, and tears down false grids. Sacred reverence is the architect. It lays the foundation, stabilizes the third energy, and builds coherence, right? So self-honor is the guardrail. And what I mean by that is it makes sure you don't collapse into martyrdom or bypass while you're doing this work. So all three are needed. If you only rage, you destroy without rebuilding. If you only go into reverence, you bypass or wait. If you only self-honor, you protect yourself but never expand the field. But when all three are present, the field transforms. So, sacred rage and reverence are not opposites. They're actually like dance partners. Rage clears space, reverence fills it. Rage collapses the noise, reverence anchors the coherence. That's why so many of you cycle between anger and awe. It's not contradiction, it's the sequence. First, you burn the false grid down, then you stabilize the truth that emerges. This is the dance of rage and reverence. So, the guardrail of self-honor. But here's the key. Without self-honor, the whole alchemy collapses. Because rage without self-honor becomes destruction. Reverence without self-honor becomes martyrdom. Self-honor keeps you aligned. It says, I can rage without losing myself. I can be in reverence without abandoning myself. I can hold the field steady, but I won't freeze my life for it. So self-honor keeps you sovereign while you're doing the sacred work. So the trinity isn't just about emotions. It literally collapses karmic greeds. So here's how. Rage severs the old energetic contracts. Reverence stabilizes the third energy so it doesn't collapse into chaos. Self-honor prevents you from being reabsorbed into his karmic loops. This is how you cut off supply to the karmic system, not by chasing him, not by fixing him, but by collapsing the grid from your end of the bond. So, and this is why it matters, because devotion requires two conditions: sovereignty and safety. Sovereignty means he feels he can stand in his dignity without being swallowed by the bond. Rage helps clear what robs him of that sovereignty. Safety means he feels the union field is steady enough to approach, and reverence provides the steadiness, that coherence. So, when sovereignty and safety meet, devotion stops being terrifying and starts becoming inevitable. So remember this trinity, alright? Excuse me, guys. Rage clears, reverence builds, self-honor protects. Together, these are the advanced mechanics of field transformation. So when you master this, you no longer wonder when he will come back. You know the truth. The field is coherent. When he's ready, devotion has a place to land. And this is the sacred alchemy of sacred reverence in its advanced form. So the final part, now that we have explored, advanced trinity of rage, reverence, and self-honor, I want to widen the lens even further, because this practice is not just about you and your divine masculine, and it's not about reunion as well. Sacred reverence is planetary, it's cosmic, it's part of the Ascension grid. So every time you hold reverence, you're not just stabilizing your twin flame bond, you're stabilizing the Earth's frequency. Why? Because twin flames, as monadic twin flames, we are not just two people, we are a living node on the planetary nervous system. When we collapse into fear, we send static into the system. When we hold reverence, we transmit coherence. Reverence teaches the human grid what divine relationship feels like: safe, dignified, and stable. So think of the earth grid like a giant circuit. Every twin flame every twin flame couple part of we are the conduit, right? When we project panic, the conduit sparks noise. When we practice reverence, the conduit hums in resonance. This is why reverence feels so demanding. You're not just holding space for yourself, you're holding a template for humanity. Every act of reverence recodes the relationship blueprint in the collective field. So this is when our divine masculine's growth matters, all right? When he steps into sovereignty, he's not just preparing to love you, he's preparing to hold masculine frequency for the planet. Your reverence provides him with a safe, energetic field to mature into that role. Without reference, he feels judged, pressured, and unsafe. With reference, he feels the field calling him upward into who he really is. And that's why for divine feminines, reverence is like a priestess work. It's not passive waiting, it's not active frequency holding for the planet. Every time you say, I honor your becoming. Every time you say, I honor your becoming, I will not collapse, I will not chase. You're healing distorted feminine archetypes of desperation. Be very clear here: desperation, collapse, and self abandonment. You are teaching the planet what feminine power really looks like: dignified, steady, and coherent. This is not just about our divine masculine. This is for every soul learning what love without collapse can look like. So, planetary ascension is not just about light codes, DNA upgrades, or cosmic events. It's about whether humans can live in coherent relationships with one another. Every time you hold reverence, you're anchoring coherence into the human greed. You're making it easier for souls everywhere to move out of chaos and into stability. That's what ascension really is: coherence made sustainable. Your reverence is not small, it is cosmic technology. So, here's the truth: sacred reverence is not just about your love story, it's grit work, it's ascension work. It's how you transmit safety, dignity, and coherence into the earth field. Rage clears the rubble, reverence builds the temple, and self honor guards the gates. And together, you're not just preparing for reunion, you're anchoring a frequency. Excuse me, guys. That humanity desperately needs. So when you practice reverence, remember, it's not just for your divine masculine, it's for the planet, it's for the ascension itself. It's for every soul on earth learning how to love without collapse, and that's the highest dimension of sacred reverence. This concludes my discourse on sacred reverence. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And if you guys want to work one-on-one with me, you can book for a session via the description on the description below. And with that, I'll see you all again for another discourse. And I also still have spots for the solar eclipse, new moon, 21/9 portal healing and activations. I highly recommend it. So if you guys are drawn, do book your spot. With that, see you all again. Take care and bye bye.